Here we are, week 4, Peacock and Williamson, 6-pack of picks, an NFC West showdown. Matt going to Ireland to watch those Steelers take on the Minnesota Vikings. Baltimore and KC need wins big, and a whole lot more from today's Peacock and Williamson.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look at the NFL on the field and in the front office with elite breakdowns to next-level analysis and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Love our everydayers. Thanks for hanging with us. And make sure you're subbed up on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcasts. And today's episode of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can get $300 in bonus bets. And all you got to do is sign up and win your first $5 bet. That's $300 bonus dollars to use across the FanDuel app. All right, Matt, we usually start with the Thursday Nighter, and the Thursday Nighter, Seahawks at Cardinals, is in our 6-pack, but I want to start with the Minnesota Vikings at the Pittsburgh Steelers because you are about to go catch a flight on your way to Ireland, which I'm very jealous of, and you're going to spend your weekend watching football with in an interesting scenario. So what do you got planned? What's this going to look like? And then we got to break down this Pittsburgh Steelers versus Minnesota Vikings game in week 4.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I don't love traveling, and it's going to be a lot of travel, as you can imagine. But we travel a little better than the average bear. There's two jets that are going to be Steeler jets, and I'm on Jet 2. Jet 1 is the team. They leave tomorrow, Thursday, and then just like any other road trip, as soon as the game is over Sunday, Tomlin's press conference, wheels up, you go. I'm going tonight, Wednesday, and staying until Monday morning. So I get a night tonight and a night on the back end that the team and the players don't. And the reasoning is I'm going to go with a lot of team media. If you're from a local paper, you're on your own getting over there. You're not on this flight. You have to be more or less employed with the team, video people. From what I understand, Ben Roethlisberger and his family are going to be on this jet, and Mel Blount and his family are going to be on this jet, and
nice.
Some assorted Roonies and minority
VIP
owners. And,
I didn't even realize how VIP this situation was going to be.
Well, I've just found this out a couple minutes ago, and they'll be in the front of the plane. I'll be probably in the last row by myself, but it's
in the lavatory.
In the lavatory, right? So what's crazy is we leave at 7 p.m. Eastern and fly all night. And everyone has said, sleep as much as you absolutely can. But it's going to feel like 8 o'clock at night for me. I go to bed at 1 in the morning, so it's not going to be easy to sleep, because the problem is when you get there, it's 9 o'clock Thursday morning for them. And then we got to wait around until we can get into our hotel, which I don't think is a big deal. And then Thursday's a normal Thursday. So they don't want you to get your hotel sleep because you got radio shows Thursday and whatnot. And that's really why they're sending me over. I think I'm doing 6 different radio shows from the pubs, which is awesome. There's a designated Steeler pub. There's a designated Vikings pub. They set up a Vikings pro shop. They set up an NFL pro shop. They set up a Steelers pro shop. They sent us a map of Dublin. Here's Croke Park where they're playing. And there's all these designated spots, which sounds super cool. So I'm doing 6 different radio shows from what I remember, between an hour each and 3 hours each, just in the heart of Dublin. I assume a lot of Steeler fans will be there, but probably just a lot of Dublin folks as well, pounding Guinnesses and having a blast and doing our thing. That's pretty much why I'm there. And then I'm going to the game, taking my laptop and just taking notes like any other game, except I'll be there live, and then head home early Monday morning and travel all day Monday.
That sounds like a lot of fun. And great. A lot of work too. Don't, it's It's a Dublin pub, like work office, which is something that sounds too
Worst
good
place
to
to
be
work.
true. It sounds too good to be true to me.
It does sound pretty great. So one of my regular responsibilities for Steelers game day is there's a pregame show that goes on 2 hours before kickoff, no matter what time that is. And I'm a guest on there. I call in every time during the second hour. But before that is the pregame show, which goes on 4 hours before kickoff for 2 hours. And I host that every week. Well, that would be 5 a.m. Eastern for this particular game, for a 9:30 game. So I think we're recording that like Saturday night.
Oh, there you go. So that's smart. That's smart right there.
Yeah. I mean, my co-host back here won't have to go into the radio station at 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you don't want it to interfere with your pub work that you got to do too, which is really important.
That's strenuous, right?
Yeah. I mean, doing shows from pubs when you talk about Guinness plus lack of sleep, that'd be a rough show to do at 5:30 in the morning Eastern time. So.
Yeah, might not be on top of my game.
As
It's
far
pretty
as
cool. I'll have some good stories next week. I'm sure.
Well, we'll hear more about the trip when you get back. It's going to change some things with our scheduling as well. So Matt's going to be flying. I'm going to do the mailbag solo for Thursday's episode. Get those questions in at BD Peacock. You can tag Matt if you want at Williamson NFL and drop a question or two on the YouTube comments as well. As far as the game goes here in Dublin.
Super quick, BP. Yeah, it's like pulling the curtain back for people a little bit too on these kind of things. So I told you, I'm like, I don't exactly know if I can do a show with you or not on Friday. Because first off, we're a 9-hour time difference from you on the west coast of the country to Ireland. That might not be easy to coordinate with my other gigs as well. Like, I don't want you doing a show at 2 a.m., or I don't want to do a show.
I'm a night owl too. So if you need to record at midnight, I'll be here for you.
All right. We'll figure it out. Maybe or we won't. I don't know.
See. We'll see what the schedule ends up being. That is the one downside of Williamson going to Dublin.
Yeah,
it's going to mess up our scheduling here. The Steelers are not favored. It is the Carson Wentz led Minnesota Vikings coming off a big win last week that are favored by 2.5 points. Both teams on the road here at Dublin and the Steelers.
Yeah, I think the Vikings are the better team. They throw a lot more at you on both sides of the ball from a coaching perspective. But Flores was on the Steelers staff, and I don't think Rodgers will get confused easily. I think the Steelers D is kind of turning the corner in a good way, but I don't think the Steeler offense is. Wentz didn't have to do anything for this team last week, and he didn't do much. He wasn't bad. He wasn't good. The defense won the game for them. I think more will be required. I don't trust Wentz all that much, but I do trust Jefferson and a rebuild offensive line, and Hawkinson's come on. Addison is back from suspension. I'm taking the Vikes to win, but I bet the Steelers keep it close. So I'm going to take points.
If I'm not mistaken, the Steelers changed some things up personnel-wise on the defensive side of the ball. Have you noticed anything different in how they're playing or who's playing for the Steelers with how things started the year on defense? Do you say they're turning the corner now?
The biggest thing was they got a shot in the arm when their first-round pick Harmon returned this past week. And they had him on a pitch count, but he still played like 35 snaps and was helpful because the D-line was getting pushed around, and he at least didn't do that. There have been a lot of defensive injuries. Elliott, Porter, Highsmith. Highsmith's out for this game, but Porter or Elliott are questionable. And some of the some other guys that aren't household names stepped up pretty well, including Jabril Peppers in his first time, in a Steeler uniform too.
And I know it's not a true home game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it's still a heck of an away game for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
And
it's the Rooney Ireland contingency is crazy too. There's a ton of Steeler fans over there. Yeah.
I'm going to take the Dublin home Steelers here getting points just because I don't have a strong feel for this game. And I do get the feeling that there's an opportunity for Wentz to make more mistakes than Aaron Rodgers in this game.
Steelers cause a lot of turnovers, and I can see Wentz not looking great.
Moving on, we've got 5 more in our week 4 6-pack of picks. We got to talk Thursday night. It's the Seahawks at the Cardinals. Baltimore KC is a big one this week. And the Micah Parsons Bowl, the Green Bay Packers visiting the Dallas Cowboys. and more coming up. This episode of Peacock and Williamson brought to you by Mazda. And Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move, from footwork to breath work to athletes sweating all of the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how they craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. And as someone who's been a Mazda owner for the last almost 10 years now, my CX-5, it performs so much better than everything else in its class that I test drove at the time. And it's just a different driving experience driving a Mazda. So check it out for yourself. The all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV. So like the players on the field, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, let's move along to this Thursday nighter. It is an NFC West matchup. Everyone's got at least 2 wins in the NFC West right now. The 2-1 Seattle Seahawks at the 2-1 Arizona Cardinals. I think the Rams are still the best team in this division, even though they are 2-1. The 49ers are 3-0, have some just weird, ugly wins so far to start this year, and despite the injuries, have come out ahead of things. But these two teams, I think, are the most interesting. And right now, today, I think the Cardinals are probably the worst team in the division. And I say that because even though the offense started slow for the Seattle Seahawks in week 1, I think the defense is for real. And seeing the offense start to come together last week has me thinking that the Seahawks are clearly the better football team. They are on the road here, though, Matt, and on a short week road team that's usually not great, but they are still favored by 1.5 point. 1.5 points at the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think Seattle's in a much better place than Arizona right now. But I really disliked picking road teams on a Thursday night, and I really dislike it when it's a divisional game and they're favored. Like, man, those things are a bad recipe for me. I'm reluctantly going to take Seattle to cover, though, just because I think their defense is far and away the best unit out there. And I think Seattle's, again, in a really good place.
I think the Seattle's a much better football team, Seattle Seahawks. It's not the roughest trip in the world. I'm going to be with you here on this one. I'm going to give up the 1.5 points on the road, even though there's a lot of reasons to believe, if you take the teams out of it, that this is a much better bet to go with the home Cardinals. Coming off a short week, will it negate those advantages that I think the Seahawks have in this game? I'm going to bet on the better football team here, though. There is an interesting one here. The New York Giants are hosting the Los Angeles Chargers, and things couldn't have gone differently for these two teams. Jackson Dart has been named the starter now for the New York Giants in week 4, and I'm assuming beyond. The road, we got another road favorite here, a big road favorite. It is the Chargers favored by 6.5 points. A cross-country trip at the New York Giants. Are we going to see a different New York Giants team? And we're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys next, who are hosting the Green Bay Packers, Matt. There was that blip in week 2 for the Giants where Russell Wilson was doing his cooking, right? Is that just because they played against a bad Dallas Cowboys defense? And should we expect to not see offensive breakouts like that the rest of the year, even if Jackson Dart is better at quarterback? He is a rookie quarterback, by the way, too. So I just don't know what you can hang your head on with the Giants and what to expect. And that defensive front seven that was supposed to be monstrous, the defense hasn't been good at all for the Giants this year.
No, I have a lot of questions about both the Dallas and the Giant coaching staff, and especially on the defensive side of the ball. And when that meshes, well, you could see shootouts like we did in week 2. I think Dart does give them a little bit of shot in the arm, though, because I think Wilson is very limited at this stage of his career with the play calls he can do. He doesn't throw to the middle of the field. He's not a great athlete anymore. He's not a creator. So I like that aspect of it. I don't love the cross-country road trip at 1 o'clock. But, boy, Herbert's playing too well for me to go against right now. I mean, I think this number is a good number, but man, I think they have something figured out here with McConkey and Quentin Johnston and Allen and the running game. And Chargers won a tough one against Denver. I'll take the Chargers, but I'm on the fence on this one. It's a good number.
It's a good number. I expect this one to look a little bit more like the Raiders Week 2 game for the Chargers, because they've had a couple of tough opponents otherwise in the division there. It was Chiefs Week 1. They came out on top 27-21. They won by a field goal last week against a good defense in Denver. I like the Chargers to win this game. I think they're good enough to overcome the 6.5 points. But again, this is one where cross-country trip, the way that Harbaugh teams play, they're not built like that blowout type of a football team. Yeah. And could Jackson Dart give that team a shot in the arm and things just look a little bit different? It's just really hard. Rookie quarterback, first game against a good team. I'm with you. I have to give up the points.
It's hard to put my money on
a lot of points across country. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next, let's talk Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans, and then a couple of big ones with the Green Bay Packers and Micah Parsons going to face his old team in Dallas. Baltimore Ravens are at the Kansas City Chiefs. Kind of the I don't want to call it a snooze fest game because it could be a really good game here, but you got a new play caller with the Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans. Houston Texans have been, to me, the most disappointing team in the NFL. They're sitting here at 0-3, and they got to win a game to even be able to think about making the playoffs. The Titans aren't going to make the playoffs. Can they give the Texans some trouble? Texans favored big by 7.5. An 0-3 team favored by 7.5 points is a rarity, Matt.
Yeah, I was hoping it was under a touchdown because, man, Houston's offense still has a lot of problems, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better or any more suited for Stroud in this year than last. The O-line's an issue. They don't run the ball very well. I just think Tennessee's lacking talent, though, and Ward is a roller coaster. And I look at the Texans as a talented, embarrassed, wounded animal, that I can't bet against to go 0-4. I mean, now, do they cover? I'm going to lean towards yes, and you get your best day from the Texans.
I think it's a get-right game for the Texans, and they win by like 25 points, right? I think that's the kind of game I'm looking at home for the Texans. Save a little face, beat up on a team that can't figure things out right now.
Yeah. I didn't think you'd say 25. I almost spit my water out there. Yeah.
just to look, 7.5 points, not enough. This is one where you're like, okay, Texans, they maybe got some things fixed against a team that they could potentially beat up on and create create problems with that defensive front for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
For an offense that clearly doesn't have any answers. And it's funny because Brian Callahan gave up play calling duties. We talked about that earlier on in the week, and I didn't see the quote for him in the press conference talking about it. He's basically like, I like the job I did calling plays, but I'm letting somebody else do it. And I was like, what is going on even here with this football team?
I think the owner scolded him. Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely.
Make something trying to change.
I got it taken away from me. I think I was doing just fine.
Yeah, like a little kid, right?
So Texans by a lot in this one. And if the Texans don't win by a lot, then there's a problem, in my opinion.
I tend to agree. Like, if you don't get right here, you might not get right.
CJ Stroud's a good quarterback, right? Is that leaving any question?
I think so. I'm still in his corner.
Okay. I am too, but it's been a little bit.
It's getting a little harder.
Yeah. Because he was on a trajectory of greatness. And the way that offense is played, you at some point you have to start pointing at things other than the things that are changeable around the quarterback, which they've changed them all. They've added more talent at wide receiver. They've made a bunch of moves on the offensive line. They've changed offensive coordinators. Did they just screw all those things up again? Right? I don't know if that's the
case. Maybe they just didn't hire well.
They might have. They might have gotten the wrong coordinator, and the offensive line doesn't look great. That's true.
No, it's just not very talented.
Texans by a lot. Next, Micah Parsons visits the Dallas Cowboys and the Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. Only 2 wins out of 6 games combined. These teams need a win in the worst way. One of them will not come out of here with a W in week 4 to finish our week 4 6-pack next. And if you want to get involved betting on any of the games we're talking about this week, you can do so on the FanDuel app or at FanDuel.com. The NFL season's here, and FanDuel is making sure you are ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. And, of course, all the lines we reference here on Peacock and Williamson every week come from our friends at FanDuel. And right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. However you like to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay. Maybe you even want to jump in live as the action unfolds. Makes every game exciting, and it's quick and easy, and the best way to add a little bit more energy to your Sundays. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, here we go. It is the Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. Both teams coming in at 1-2, kind of licking their wounds, trying to figure out what's going on with this season. It's the Ravens on the road, favored by 2.5 points here, Matt. These teams do not want to fall to 1-3. The divisions are too competitive, especially if you're the Chiefs looking up at a team that's favored by a touchdown that potentially is going to be 4-0. You can't sit there at 1-3 and think you're going to slow play this thing.
So, question for you. I don't think the Ravens are a bad team by no means. I still think they're a tier 1 team. But did we overrate them a little bit?
Pass rush wise, I thought there was going to be a lot more from Mike Green. I thought they were going to harass opposing teams more than they have. So that potentially could be a big problem because that's a hallmark of a great team. You're not going to be a great team if you can't do that. Outside of week 1, Derrick Henry hasn't looked like Superman quite as much. He has put the ball on the ground, which you can't do against a well-coached team and a good team like the Chiefs. Are the Chiefs that much worse than the Ravens that they would not be favored at home? And I look at historically, Patrick Mahomes, when he's the underdog, home dog, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that's almost an auto pick for me, Matt.
I know. I just wish he had more weaponry right now. And I'm taking the Ravens. I don't like what they've been doing in both lines of scrimmage. But I think you could argue that Lamar's playing better than Mahomes. I'm not willing to say he is better, but if you have to put a check mark in the quarterback box, I think I would go with the Ravens right now, especially when factoring what's around him. I can't believe Henry's going to be quiet for that long, too. And I like the Chiefs D, but I bet he gets rolling again. Close game. I like Spagnuolo a lot to be able to put together a good plan against Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I'm going to take the Chiefs, and I'm going to take 2.5 points here. One question I want to put to you, and it's not a statement, but it's hard for Lamar Jackson and definitely at the same time his head coach and John Harbaugh to beat the allegations of, okay, well, you can be a bully and beat up on bad teams, but how come you keep losing in the playoffs? How come you lose to the Buffalo Bills? How come you keep losing to the good opponents that you play teams against? And is the Chiefs one of those? And man, it would be one of the shockers of the year with a Super Bowl pick that we both liked, being potentially the best team in the league in 2025, to be sitting here at 1-3 after 4 weeks. I would be shocked with that too. But man, like you said, Mahomes as a dog is hard to pass up. These would be 2 pretty desperate teams right now, kind of like we talked about with Houston, proud teams, used to winning. I'm going with the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs on that. Can we turn around our picks, by the way, this year? The things like the Ravens losing a lot, and things like the Browns beating the Packers last week have really flipped us on our ears. And those aren't the only 2. Those same Packers now get a primetime matchup at the Dallas Cowboys. It's the 2-1 Packers at the 1-2 Cowboys. There we go.
Nice.
I didn't have the sounder going. I put the volume up on that. It's the Packers at the Cowboys, Green Bay on the road, favored by 6.5, coming off a loss.
Yeah, and I think the reason they lost is we greatly underestimated the Browns defense, and they also suffered some injuries. Maybe they overlooked Cleveland a little bit, start thinking they're, what didn't stink, and we're a great team, and we'll just roll into Cleveland and win. But this is Parsons' old team in Dallas. Every eye in America is going to be on it. I bet Parsons goes crazy. I don't think Dallas's defense is in the same stratosphere as Cleveland's. I don't see a pass rusher resembling Myles Garrett. This might be a win by 25 game.
So with CeeDee Lamb, and he's doubtful right now with the ankle injury.
Yeah, he's not going to play.
And so, I mean, that's even worse
That's
for
huge.
The quarterback who's going to have an extra motivated. If you're the Cowboys, do you even want to save face in a way that you're like, look, I will have a tight end and a running back chipping Micah Parsons on every play. I don't care if we lose. We cannot let him get 3 sacks or something in this game, right?
I would think Jerry's going to be.
Like Jerry might be in somebody's ear being like, look, whatever you have to do.
Don't let him shine and steal the day.
I just don't like this at all for the Cowboys. Their defense flat out stinks. They're not going to be able to I don't think they're going to be able to take advantage of the Packers' problems up front. The Packers couldn't stop any kind of like stunt. It would be like, oh, you guys are running a game on me. We don't know what to do. Both guys are going to rush free now. And then Myles Garrett's just being Myles Garrett out there on the edge. So that was a rough look. The Packers have to be better than that. Zach Tom is doubtful to play in this game as well. So both offenses are kind of banged up. So, maybe the Packers can't take as much of an advantage, but you look at the Cowboys, we're talking about the Giants putting up 40 points or whatever it was on them. And the Bears looked like they weren't playing very good until they got to play the Dallas Cowboys defense, and they put up 31 points. I like the Packers big in this one. And the Cowboys, I just don't see the path for them aside from being the home team here to upset those Green Bay Packers. And Micah Parsons is a tough player to scheme against because of how you can move him around. So he'll be coming from everywhere, which makes it more difficult to chip him and do what I think the Cowboys would need to do to slow him down. So look, this is kind of like the Houston one where I think this could potentially be a big one. And I expect the Packers to do a number on the Green Bay Packers to do a number on the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to give up those 6.5 points.
This is probably the one I feel best about that we've talked about today. Like the underreported story that should shock no one is Rashawn Gary's leading the league in sacks. Well, he's a good player, but I mean, if you are going to have chipping Parsons to no end via Jerry's demands, who's blocking Gary,
There you go. Those are our Week 4 6-pack of picks. You're going to hear that sound a lot actually, you're not going to hear that much. You're going to get those Dublin, Ireland Guinness pours. It's not going to come out of the can, Matt. So have fun this weekend. I may or may not talk to you in the next couple of days here, doing the podcast, depending on your schedule there, covering the Steelers in Dublin. Have a lot of fun. Enjoy it. Everyone out there, make sure you subscribe up to this podcast and let us know what your picks are this week and get your mailbag questions in to me at BD Peacock, and hit us on YouTube as well in the comments. And Matt and I back next time right here, Peacock and Williamson.